watching Chicago Bears Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Today's show, 5 players the Bears could trade before the 2021 season starts, 5 trade candidates, and we'll take a look at some guys here together. We'll start on offense and then go to defense here. Nick Foles, the quarterback. Now, we've talked about Nick Foles quite a bit here on Chicago Bears Now, and the reason I'm going to continue to push this is, number one, he's the odd man out in the QB room. Andy Dalton's your starter for now. Justin Fields is the future. That kind of leaves Nick Foles as just a guy who holds a clipboard, which Andy Dalton can do that, right? Bears also can save $4 million by trading Foles after June 1st. Now, they won't cut him because they'll lose money if they cut him, so it's either trade or keep him at this point. But as of now, teams reportedly are interested. Apparently, they have tried, or they have at least reached out to teams to draw interest on Foles, and the Bears haven't gotten anyone to bite. So for now, they're stuck with him. But I still think there's a decent chance before the season starts, as teams, get into training camp into preseason, that they could trade him. Number one, teams get desperate. Like, hey, we really need a veteran backup. We'll throw you a 6th-round pick. Or number two, an injury, right? A quarterback somewhere is going to get hurt. That's just how this goes. So if that happens, a guy like Nick Foles is a veteran, and while he didn't play that well last year, contract isn't horrible. He's certainly overpaid for a guy who's not really a starter at this point, but he's got value. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been on several teams in several different offenses, and at the very least, in my opinion, can be a high-level backup. To me, Nick Foles doesn't really have value as a quarterback 3. He just doesn't. Now, what is Nick Foles going to bring to you that Andy Dalton can't? Oh, here's my Super Bowl ring from 4 years ago. So what? That doesn't have much value for Justin Fields, at least not in the regular season. Now, having him here in the offseason and in training camp, I think that's valuable. But once the season starts, that doesn't really matter. It's about playing it. It's about this year, and Andy Dalton can be that mentor for Justin Fields. So I think trying to trade him still makes sense. We'll see if it happens in the end. Will Nick Foles be on the Week 1 roster for the Bears? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to hold out hope that they can find a trade partner. Get your votes in, Y for yes or N for no. Anthony Miller, another player who's been connected to trade rumors. Those have been circulating off and on for months. Now, the latest momentum is that he's going to compete. He's going to be a part of this team for now. Now, is Mike Fury and Matt Nagy and the staff just saying those things because they can't find a trade for Miller? It's very possible that that is the case. Now, if they do keep him, they've made it pretty clear with what they've said publicly and vocally that he'll have to earn a roster spot. Like, the Bears are not handing out roster spots to receivers after Allen Robinson and Darnell Mooney. Those are going to be earned. We'll see what happens. I don't know if there are suitors right now, but I think things could change, just like on the Nick Foles front. Now, Miller, it's not like he sucked last year, right? He's certainly been very inconsistent, and he wasn't as good last year as he was in years prior. I still like Anthony Miller's talent. He's just so wildly inconsistent for me. He drops a critical 3rd down. He catches a wild touchdown against Atlanta to win the game. He runs the wrong route in another game. He punches a dude in a playoff game and gets ejected. Like, it's too much of a roller coaster for me for a guy who's not a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2. He's got talent to be an elite slot receiver. He really does. That's why he was a high draft pick coming out of the University of Memphis, because he's got the tools. Can he put it all together? To this point, he is not. He's been too inconsistent for me. I think competition will be good for him, but I also think that trading him could still be a possibility as we get closer and closer to the 2021 season. So you're in charge. Play GM for me. What should the Bears do with Anthony Miller? Type T for trade, type K for keep him. Get your votes in on this one. What do you guys think the Bears should do with Anthony Miller? T for trade or K for keep? The Newsbreak app is my favorite app that I have downloaded recently, and here's why. I like keeping up with local news and sports. How can I do that? Well, I can either download 20 different apps or visit 20 different websites or get the local newspaper, which I'm not doing, or I can go to Newsbreak, and you can as well. Download the app today at chatsports.com/BearsNB. What the Newsbreak app does, it syncs you up with your zip code, and then it just aggregates all your local news stories on one feed. You can keep up with your local news and sports and weather and politics and pop culture and a whole lot more. And you can find more videos from us as well if you search Bears Now in the search tab. The Newsbreak app is great. It aggregates all your local news stories onto one feed, and you don't have to go surfing all over the internet. Go to chatsports.com/BearsNB. That link will be in the comments. It'll be in the description, and you guys can download the app today. Let's keep things rolling here with James Daniels. Maybe a bit of a surprise for you guys on this one. And again, I want to make this clear for all these guys. In most cases, I am not advocating for them to trade away. These are just 5 players that I think in some regard could be an option if the Bears want to put players on the trading block. Here's why for Daniels. He's entering the final year of his contract. Okay, you already paid Cody Whitehair. He's under contract through several more seasons. Coming off an injury, missed 11 games last year, and maybe most importantly, Alex Bars played pretty well last year at right guard down the stretch. And if you think that he can hold down the fort and you want to save some money by cutting Daniels, or you don't think you're going to re-sign him, which it's very possible Chicago does not re-sign James Daniels, then trading him could be an option. Now, I'm not saying Alex Bars is better than James Daniels. I'm not saying trading James Daniels makes you better this year. But if you're looking ahead and you're looking at your salary cap and you're saying, man, we can't re-sign everybody. We already brought back Cody Whitehair. Then maybe it's like, okay, could we get a 4th-round pick for James Daniels? If you're Ryan Pace, if you're kind of going through this right here, get some extra draft capital back. Again, not advocating for it, but when you look at the depth chart, you can get by with Alex Bars at right guard. You can plug in Elijah Wilkinson at right guard if you want to. You've got Larry Borum who could slide in and kick inside and play guard. You've got options if you want to go this route. Now, again, I'm not saying go trade James Daniels. There's no chance you're going to re-sign him. Not saying that. I'm saying it's an option. I'm saying if you want to do it, you can. He is a potential secondary trade candidate if the Bears wanted to go that route. Subscribe to Chicago Bears Now because we have daily videos covering the latest news, rumors. We go live every single Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central Time. And we do a whole lot more videos. During the draft, we had draft videos on almost every single draft pick. We went live for Justin Fields. We have fun. We interact with you guys. We do mailbags as well. You see the link below, youtube.com/BearsNow. Hit that big red subscribe button and don't miss a video here on the channel. Let's go to defense now. Akeem Hicks. And now, again, what I just said, the qualifier of, I'm not advocating for most of these guys to get traded. I'm saying it's a possibility, and if the Bears wanted to either save cap space or get draft capital, these guys could make sense. Akeem Hicks makes sense in that regard. Here's why. He's getting older. He's 32, going to be 33 at some point this year, entering the final year of his contract. He's still really good, don't get me wrong. But injuries have crept in the last couple of years. They just have. There's no way around it. Trading him also saved Chicago over $10 million in cap space. Now, again, I would keep Akiem Hicks. But if you think you can go get a legitimate starting corner and you want to clear some cap, significant cap to do that, trading Hicks is probably your best chance to do that, unless you want to cut Jimmy Graham, which that could be an option as well. But end of the day, I would keep him. But if you have other free agent targets on your mind, or if you want to clear cap to roll over for next year, $10.5 million from trading Hicks, your easiest way to do so. And he still has trade value, especially on the last year of his deal. Still a productive player, still good last year, missed some games with injuries, only 3.5 sacks, but that really doesn't tell the story. 21 quarterback hits. He still gets a lot of pressure. He's still a vocal leader. He's got a ton of value in this Bears locker room and on this Bears defense. But again, he's a free agent after next year. Are you going to bring back Akiem Hicks? Maybe. You could. It depends on price. He's entering his mid-30s pretty soon. So this is just the reality of running a football team. You have to think about these things because it's like, all right, I love Akiem Hicks. I would keep Akiem Hicks forever, but you can't keep everybody forever just because of what they've done in the past and what they mean to your football team. So I would keep them for now, but that doesn't mean I'm not answering the phone if someone calls about an Akiem Hicks trade. I think you should always keep your phone lines open. Who will lead the Bears in sacks this upcoming season? I want to hear it from you guys on this one. Let me know. Maybe you think it'll be Akiem Hicks. I think it'll be Khalil Mack. I think he'll have 10 or so. Let me know. Predict it for us. Who will lead the Bears in sacks this season? Maybe you think it'll be Eddie Goldman, who's really more of a run stopper, but he is coming back this year. So you're like, oh man, I've been excited to watch Goldman. Why is he on this video? Well, a couple of reasons. One, opted out last year. Who knows what type of player he'll be. He's still young. I expect him to be really good, but Guys who miss an entire year, that's impactful. We'll have to wait and see. He's got 3 years left on his deal, so you got options on when you want to move on from him, if you want to move on from him at all. Post June 1 trade, you can save almost $5 million, so that's not nothing. If you get him into camp and you're like, oh man, he's not the same guy, you could trade or try to cut him. You could do one of those things if you want to. Now, the Bears clearly missed Eddie Goldman last year. I thought their run defense really suffered in his absence, but we also saw other guys, step up as well. Goldman, 2 years ago, he's never been a big stats guy, but he did play really well. You could tell the difference in this defense with him being out last year versus 2019. Again, the run defense definitely suffered without him, but him being out also allowed us to see the emergence of a guy like Bilal Nichols, who had 5 sacks last year, who provided more pass rushing ability than an Eddie Goldman. Now, I'm not saying Nichols is better than Goldman, but I'm not saying it. He might end up being better, and the good thing with Nichols, he can kick out and play defensive end in the 3-4 scheme, but if you wanted to move on from Goldman, Nichols could be your nose tackle. That is definitely an option for Chicago. Now, I just went through 5 players that the Bears could trade, not should, could trade before Week 1. I want you to let me know who should the Bears trade before Week 1. I would love to get Nick Foles out of here. Save the money. You don't need him. It's as simple as that. Other than that, let these guys compete. I'm down. Always have your phone lines open, and we'll remind you who these guys are. Nick Foles, Anthony Miller, James Daniels, Akeem Hicks, and Eddie Goldman. Chances are one or none of these guys will get traded because we're entering that point in the offseason where not a lot of big moves happen. Maybe Foles and Miller get moved. I doubt the other 3 do, but I did want to mention them as possible trade candidates. So get your votes in. Name a player that the Bears should trade before the 2021 season.